In this video help, I'm going to be covering the resident screen. This is on the main calendar. If you pick either the resident or visitor, it will take you to that screen, and then there are other subscreens available in the application. Let's go to resident. In the resident screen, the first thing you're going to note is that the data and information that is included in this screen is all about the resident as far as the gate and security system is concerned. This is used if the resident is gaining access to a secure community and the people, the staff at the guard post would be able to verify the access and the information for that person. Also in this screen, there are resident contacts. If something occurs to the resident or in the resident location, the home or building, whatever it may be, these would be contacts for whatever reason that would be required for one reason to either get keys or to gain access or to notify different people if there was some event or something that occurred to the resident and they needed to notify certain people. For example, it could be medical or whatever. But that information is added into this portal. Now the portal allows you to create as many records as you want to by clicking on the fields. You type in the data. As you put the first piece of data in here, it'll add another new line below that. You can have an infinite number of records. So in this case, this particular primary person who's the resident, these would be contacts for whatever purposes that would be needed. And for example, like this is an emergency contact, you would put a yes in there if that's an emergency contact. If not, you would just leave that blank. In this case, the relationship is the daughter, although it could be, say, like a doctor or whatever, their phone and their email. By clicking on the button at the end of the portal row, that particular person's information will be expanded, and there's a place to put notes in on the screen for that particular person and to keep notes if you had called them and wanted to retain the information from that visit. Let's go up to the next part of the screen. You can move between records by clicking on the next and previous to move through these records to see the people that are in this list. Now this is the list of all residents for this particular security system, and as you can see, if I scroll, there are a large number of people in this list, and they're in alphabetical order, so you can see at the end it's Z. You can very quickly move to somebody, and by clicking on their record, that record would now appear in this area. There's also another way to locate an individual in this area is you can use what is called the find. In this case, you could say start the find. When you click this, what it does is it empties out all the fields. And what you would do is you can type a portion or any thing that would be unique as far as trying to find a location or a person in that record. And basically, I have a record in here, so I just put my name. Notice I did not capitalize it. I did not put my last name in there, and yet when I click the Perform Find button, it automatically adds my record to the screen and I'm editing it. If I wanted to add a person's picture in here, in this case the resident, if they supply you a digital picture, you can add it into this, and you can just click on the picture and you say Insert Picture, and it'll go out to your hard drive and allow you to place that picture in there. If you wanted to see, say for example, the person's coming to the gate and you wanted to see a larger view of their picture, you click the resident photo, and the resident photo now would be brought up so you can see it with clarity, so you can see the person's image at high resolution. To click on anything outside the picture, we'll close the picture, and as you can see in this record, now what we're doing is we're adding the information that would be filled in the fields. The first thing is the resident's address, the name of the resident, the spouse of the residence, the address, the city, state, province, zip code or postal, and the home phone. In this case, you could also add the work phones and the work phone of the spouse and a cell phone 1 and 2. You can always add additional notes over here if you need to have more contact information. Or you can do this, you can create a resident contact for anybody or whatever you needed in order to provide more information, including the residents themselves. You could add additional data. I want to point out in this particular case, there's a click up here where you can put in the residence type. And in this particular case, let's say it's a home. You can just type that in there, and that way you would see their home is the residence where we're speaking of. If this is a commercial building, you could either put commercial building or the name of the building. And then the resident status. If this is a person who has a piece of property but they're leasing it or some other thing, you can see right here these are different options. If they're on away for vacation, they have a renter. They're on travel, it's not occupied, or it's a vacation rental. Now, in order to add to this list, if this is on the iPad and you go to try to edit this, it's a scroller and it's not going to allow you to edit it. But in this application, anything that has an underline on the title of the field, if you click it, it'll bring up an edit screen. What that edit screen does is it allows you to create a new record and add another piece of data by clicking in this area when you add a new record to put another item in that drop-down list so that you can have that available to you. To return to either the visitor or any of the other screens or search in this area or watch a video, you would watch that here. Going back to the residence, the next thing I would want to show you is that these are tabs. We're currently on the residence tab. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the location tab. And what this does is it takes the current resident address and then it shows you the location of that particular person. You can add the residence by adding it into this field right here. And then it'll show you on the map where this person is, and you can also get directions from where you're at to that location. This is helpful if you are a staff member and you're not familiar where this particular residence is at. You can put the address in there, and then it would go ahead and show it on the map, and then you can get directions and provide those to a visitor. Resident UDF, this next tab, you can have photos of the different people that are like family members or whoever you need to have as far as pictures are concerned. This could be a service person coming in, and you can use your iPad to go ahead and take their picture and then put it in this scrolling resident thing here. For example, if you add additional people in here, this will scroll down and allow you to put additional people in there. And as before, if you just click in the field for the picture, you can click insert the picture and it will go ahead and open that portion. You put the resident name and the resident status. If this is residents that are in the actual building or in the family member, you could put their family members all in there. I have this little thing over here which allows you to put the child's name, the age, and the cell phone. This is in case you need to verify it from the screen, and say, for example, they give you a driver's license to verify their identity. You would have that here. Not just the resident, but their family members as well. There are how many number of children. Now, they may not have all their names and information, but you could put into the number of children this family actually has at that residence. Down here in the UDF fields, these are user-defined fields, and these are for fields that I have added a number of fields, but if I did not have one and you needed one, you could change the title of that field, and then the input data that is related to that title would be in this. And this again is a infinite field where you can have as many records in here as you want to. So you can have a large number of data that can go in this particular area if it's required for you. When you put in the information on the first screen on this tab on resident, it automatically brings over all the data that, except for the child. That information would be brought over for you, so you do not have to re-enter it. The status should be in there, for example. In this case, I'm going to say in residence, so that we know that these people are living here now and are in this residence. If I go back to this tab, you'll see that in residence was carried over to the other screen and everything is updated. So for example, if I make a change for a telephone number here, everywhere throughout the database, it will be updated from that record for this person. Another part of the understanding of how this works is any other sub-records that are related to this particular client, like the visitor record. If you're in this screen and you open up the visitor, it's going to show that resident's information for their visitor screen. So those are called relational links, and they're based on an ID number that is right here. So customer ID in this case is number 2. And when you go to the visitor for number 2, this information will be brought over so you can utilize that information as well. There are additional tabs. We've already done the location, the residence UDF, now the vehicle portal. This is a portal again like the one we showed you prior to this. And what this is for the residents' vehicles so that they would be identified when they come through the gate. It would give you the model of the type of vehicle, the year and model, the license number, in this case the status, the resident status, and this can be edited and add whatever you want to put in there. Driver's name, and in this case it's the primary driver, and the vehicle color so that you can see what it is. And then you can add vehicle notes specifically for this. If you wanted to add the picture, again, you right click and say insert photo. So you can add that. And then in addition to that, if you want to see the actual portal record that shows you the details about this, you click on the portal, and what it'll do is it'll give you a larger photo of this. Plus, if you use your iPad, you can take a picture of the license and then paste that in here by saying insert, and that would insert the thing into your screen. Now on the iPad, if you're doing it from the iPad, when you say insert, it may say insert from library, and that would mean that it'll have the photo library on the iPad that you can access a photo or a plate image, and you can then add that to these two fields. This would be for the vehicle and the plate. And of course, as we showed you before here, you can see the information as far as the data that was in the portal. You can do a find from this screen, but you cannot do finds within the portal. What does that mean? Let's go back over to the resident, go back to the vehicle portal. If you try to search in a portal, it will not work, but you can use the fields above this, a portal, like in the first tab where it says residence data. All these fields can be used in a find, but you cannot use the finds in the actual portal unless you're actually in the physical portal. Like if I go to this portal in the screen, it will take me to this screen, or I can go ahead and use any of the fields, including the data that was in the portal, to go and do a search, including the text field. Any word or phrase used in here will find records that match that particular information. And then you can scroll through those screens in order to see the information using next and previous. And in the same regard, you can also delete from a portal by saying the delete here. So let's go ahead and go back to the resident screen. The next thing you're going to have in here is the medical status. Now this is very important. If you had a resident that needed medical assistance for whatever reason, you would have the information for either a current condition and the doctor's information, and anything that you need to know how to respond if a resident's called to security and said that they were in dire need of support or help because of a medical situation. Then you would be able to call their doctor or whatever is appropriate for that medical situation. For example, if a person had just come home from the hospital and they were injured and they needed assistance in one way or another, and they were the only residents in the dwelling, and you had to go there to help them, this would give you the information about that injury, and you could put a date span as far as the condition, when it started, and then down here, when that condition had no longer been an issue. So that would be helpful for medical and whatever as far as that particular client's concerned. Now, if you look at the top, I didn't cover these. This main menu will take you to or it's an icon that just shows the main menu as far as it being the main screen. There is a menu bar. If you click it, will show you the individual screens and an icon to access whatever ones you want to in general. So for example, if I click back on residence, it'll reopen the visitor or the menu for that residence. So these are quick ways to get to those different screens, including the data sheet, which I'll cover later, the calendar, which is the main calendar, and then these are the support icons for showing all records after you do a find and you want to return all the records to the current selection. You would click show all records. And if you want to start a find, as I showed you before, you can do that by hitting start find, and perform find will actually do the find when you want to see the data. And then this particular button will toggle the menus, and this is principally used either on the cloud or on the iPad, where you hide or show the menu bars at the top of the screen to give yourself more space, so a working area on the screen, by hiding those particular menus. And then of course the support. And of course, this is the video help that you're viewing right now when you click on this. If you have any questions as far as how to use this application in this screen, go ahead and contact me either by email or by visiting the support site for additional help. Thank you.